Good morning. Hello. Welcome to the Parent Power Hour. I am Kristen, and yes, I'm choosing joy today. I'm wearing like an actual print t-shirt. That's not something I usually do, but I actually ordered this, I'm gonna say I like maybe the week before. Dallas at least went down into this shutdown mode and everything that we're experiencing, and it just came in yesterday, and I got one for my mom and my sister as well. Um, I was thinking for a second, maybe I should just wear this every time because it's going to be a great reminder for all of us, right? It's going to be a great reminder for me. I won't though, because that's not my style. If you're here, you're in the right place. This is Parent Power Hour. I am Kristen, and this is our morning program that we offer from NewMinds.tv to our parents. And to, if you're showing up here and you're not a parent, stay around. This is also to power you up, whether you're a teacher, whether you're looking for you're an adult, you are someone who's looking to find ways to choose joy, find ways to choose to be living in the light that you belong in the light that's meant for you, and choosing to be a part of something that's greater than all of us, which is becoming ourselves, becoming who we're meant to be, whether that means defining our purpose, revisiting and finding our purpose, and to power up. So if you're a parent or not, whatever your position is in life, you are needing power. You're needing a place to find some source of encouragement. And um, even if you're not, you're just curious about what everybody else is up to, you're in the right place. Um, this is our 21st episode. Wow, so exciting. We have been doing this for 21 days. And I love the thought. Let's see, I just put it away. Um, you all know this about 21 days, that after you do something for 21 days, it's a habit. And so here we are. We have a new habit. And if you can do something for consistently for 30 days, it becomes an even deeper habit. But if you can do it for 90 days, it becomes a way of life. And that is a concept that for the last for the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or so, no, not 2.5 weeks. We're right out starting the third week of the next 90 days challenge, which is what I was reading that from. And I'm inviting you all to join me in that. It's a really intentional way for us as a community. It's totally free. New Minds isn't putting it on. But you can sign up for it at theholliscode.com/next90. And it's a way for all of us in our community all over the world to be able to, with intentional practices and habits, to choose joy, to start your day with gratitude, drink half your body weight in water, move your body for at least 30 minutes a day, remove some category of food that you know isn't helpful for you becoming your best self, doesn't make you feel good, or maybe just something that you just know you shouldn't be eating. And then finally, to be waking up an hour earlier. And I'm just going to be real honest today, you guys. It was rough for me this morning. I think because it was just so nice. It's a little bit cold out here. Today, for some reason, it was like in the 80s yesterday morning, and then now I don't even know what the weather is right now, but it's cold. It's like people had to put on jackets and stuff. It dropped at least 40 degrees. Um, and so I love that. I love sleeping in the cold. I love, it's clear skies and everything that are here. So yeah, I mean, true confessions, you guys, I did not wake up an hour earlier. I have not yet written my things that I'm grateful for. The time I was spending, I didn't wake up an hour earlier. However, I did spend an hour preparing, meditating, finding a way to be sure that I can show up for you all. So I didn't just roll out of bed before we click start here at 10. Don't worry. I've thought about you guys a lot more than that. So yeah, so let's get ready with that. And again, I'd invite you to sign up for the next 90 days challenge. It's not anything official. It's not um, it's not, nobody's getting paid for anything for this. I just am doing my part to spread some joy, to spread some possible ways that you could also get fueled up. You'll get some great tips and tools and strategies. You'll see a lot of overlap of the content that you get from the Hollis Co. a lot of overlap from there on the kind of things that we talk about and we center on from here in Parent Power Hour. I do a lot of listening and a lot of reading of the books that are put out by the company that's owned and run by Rachel Hollis and Dave Hollis. And so that, along with lots of other people, don't worry, you guys. I mean, I'm just like, there's lots of books going on here. It's not just, there's Brendon Burchard's book, there's Crucial Conversations, there's some Enneagram 9 types of leadership. So don't worry, this is not just a little copy. And so that brings me to why we're here. We're here to power up so we can be better versions of ourselves, to better serve those that we love the most. And yeah, it's really interesting. So when I was spending some time thinking about how our conversations might evolve this week, I had this written down. You can probably see it. It just says, "Can you?" And that's actually from that. That was actually from a joke we were playing around with in New Minds on Friday. We had a team meeting with everybody on the screen. I think there were 14, no, somewhere around. I'm not going to guess the number. It was like at least 3 rows of people on our video conference team meeting, and somebody was playing a joke and was trying to be funny and like held up, can I go to the bathroom? Like it was a class, like a little picture or a little handwritten note that said, can I go to the bathroom? And so of course, every teacher, every sassy parent, like we all have done it at least once just to be fun. And it's say, well, I don't know. Can you go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you? Right? Because of course the appropriate language structure is supposed to be, may I go? Because you're asking a question, right? So I just wrote that down as a joke to poke back a little bit when someone said, can I go to the bathroom? When a post-it note held it up to the screen, and all of us, ah ha ha, so funny. And so then I just wrote, can you? And then you guys, that's what we're going to talk about today. Not can you go to the bathroom or not. We did that a few sessions ago. We actually, because we're talking about drinking all the water and how we can be intentional and mindful about those moments when we do step back and sip off all the water. And yes, my water bottle does say, I'm trying to make sure it's in the screen for you, it does say just drink the stupid water. Sometimes you just have to tell yourself to do those things when you're like, just eat the stupid salad, drink the stupid water, go on the walk, leave the house, move your body. All right, so to bring it back, can you believe it? And it was not intentional. It 100% was not intentional of me looking at my note this morning, and I really just picked up this card because I usually write on my notes about things that I want to be sure that we cover on these note cards, and this one just, I wanted to recycle, and it just so happened that it had a lot of space. So I was like, oh, I'll just keep writing there. And as I'm like starting notes and brainstorming, and then I shore up my notes and I, have just the big bullet points of what we're going to do or what we're going to talk about today, I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is actually fitting in with this question. Like, can we? Do we think we can? Whatever it is, whatever hard thing is facing us, whatever challenge comes at us today, whatever moment that's going to cause you to question your skills and your competency either at parenting or communicating and showing up for your team, or putting on the mask that you really don't really want to do, but you know that you should. It's not that hard, but really it's like a big mental thing of like, if I accept this and I do this, that means I'm accepting it, what I'm living in. And everybody knows that's a deeper thing. Whatever your actions are, whatever challenges that you're having are deeper than just the thing that's in that moment, right? And so that's how I landed on today's question of, do you think that you can? Because here's why we're here on Parent Power Hour. We're here to work on ourselves. We're here to power up. Remember, we defined the version of power, the definition of power that we're using here in this community is the ability to affect and influence change. And that's from Martin Luther King. And not control. Lord knows, a few episodes ago we also talked about how, like, surprise, none of us actually have any control, right? We don't. We know that, and it's not a surprise, yet our brain still hasn't figured it out yet, right? So we are here to work on ourselves. We're here to, and now that we're in this practice, we are starting to have a deeper level of awareness of what problems are arising in our families, in our conversations, in the interactions that we're having with each other, in our responses to the information that we receive and that we put in. And I'm just gonna scoot over here to be sure I'm making eye contact with you all in the right place. And so we're here watching for problems. And when we're watching for problems, we're also having another level of personal awareness, of self-awareness, right? Of examining our own thoughts. That's what mindfulness ultimately is, right? That we are examining our own thoughts, and then when we're doing that, we're discovering our own styles. Okay? We're not saying, okay, well, I was listening to Parent Power Hour and Kristen said I need to do this and I need to think about this, and and now I'm overwhelmed and I said I'm out. No, what you're doing with that is you can start maybe to get to that conclusion, but before you do, I ask you to pause and ask yourself, why do you have that feeling of overwhelm? Have you decided to change everything about your life today? If you have, back up a little bit. It's not a like overhaul your life kind of thing and approach that's really going to have a lasting impact on you and on your family. It's going to be choosing one or two things to really focus in on for the next week, for the day, for the hour. If you're going into something you know is going to be a challenge, if you know that lunchtime is always the example I go to for some reason, but I think it's probably one of the bigger times of the day, if you're a parent, that you're not in the habit of preparing your lunch for your children every single day for your family, if your spouse is also still working in the home, that's a habit, that's a new way, that's a new part of your family day that you're not really in the habit of doing, at least, right? Like dinner, yeah, but lunch is different. And then of course we're all also, most of us are all cooking at home, and so it's an event because you've got the schoolwork that's happening, and then at some point that has to pause so that people can eat lunch. Because if you're not pausing, well, that's another episode. I'll put that in the plans for next time. But if you're not taking care of your body, and if the kiddos aren't, if you're not able to help provide and help them also make choices for what they're putting into their bodies, that's going to have a really profound effect on mood, attitude, perspective, energy level, some of those things that you already know. I'm here to remind you of those. And if you're struggling to make ends meet, and if you're struggling already to, be present in the space of like, okay, well, the pantry's getting down to just a few things, and if you are settling in a bit on that scarcity mentality, we talked about that last week as well, then you're not able to function and communicate from a place of abundance, from a place of, you know what, we have enough cans of food for lunch today. We have enough for lunch today. Be present with that, okay? Because what we're trying to do is that in your thought process of getting there, you're able to discover your own style. You're able to recognize, whoa, I'm freaking out. I'm slipping into scarcity mentality. And that is huge. If that's as far as you get today or in the next hour, that you have a little bit of like, whoa, this is how I'm responding again. Okay, I'm recognizing that in these certain situations I tend to flip. We're already off to a great place, because you may not always have the answer. You may not always have the security and the safety of the predictability of what's going to happen next, but what you do have is that self-awareness. I know. Self-awareness isn't going to be the thing that's going to pay the bills. I know. But when you're at a level of self-awareness, I would like to offer for you to consider this, that when you're at a level there of self-awareness, that there's going to be an openness to your thinking. There's going to be more space for innovation and creativity in your thinking. And when you're able to be there, some of those solutions to things like finding out how to pay the bills are going to emerge in a different way. They're going to be given the space to emerge. Okay? So hang with me on that one. Hang in here, and ultimately what we would like to do is to be able to catch these problems before they get out of hand, right? If you find yourself shame spiraling on your way to the pantry, catch that problem before it gets out of hand. If you find that you're already shame spiraling and you're already stressed out, it's 10:15 here in Dallas and we're in the middle of our morning, and if you're finding yourself slipping into that, find yourself, like start there, and then start to implement some of the tips and tools and strategies practically that I have shared with you over the last few episodes, and that you're also getting in other places. If you are looking at newminds.tv and the morning start the day show or the finish the day, you're getting tips and tools there for how to also structure a learning environment for your family, some other things to piece in. I'm not saying listen to everything. What I am saying is that hopefully you can get to a spot where you hear at least one or two things that you're like, bing, that's the thing. That's what I needed yesterday when I was X, Y, and Z with that part of my day when on Zoom or on whatever FaceTime with my family. Don't use Zoom anyway. But if I was on FaceTime with my family and I had this problem, I could have used that skill. Oh my gosh. Okay, now I know. Next time I'm in that challenging situation or conversation, instead of flipping off like I always have, I'm going to be able to, and I mean flipping off as in my brain, right? Not the actual physical emotion. Let's not do that. Because that's just that's showing that you're not having that self-awareness inside, right? Yes, we all lose our cool. So you'll find that a lot of the things I'm saying right now are what I'm not saying, but what I am saying. But let's acknowledge I'm actually doing it on purpose. Because what I'm doing is I'm creating a psychological safety for us. And I'm modeling for you actually the tool that I would like to pass on to you. I mentioned it once a few episodes ago, but we're going to go in a little bit deeper today. And that what we can do is, first of all, we are the only things that we have control over are our emotion, not our emotions, excuse me. The only things we have control over are our attitude, right? And how we feel about those things, how we feel about the way that our attitude is coming out. It's just our inner thoughts. That's most of really all that we actually have control over. And I'm going to throw up this quote, and I know you've seen it before, but I'm going to throw up again. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so that's why I started with this question earlier today, is that, do you think you can? If you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right. And that starts with creating a psychological safety. That's what I've been hoping to cultivate here for you as you listen in, or if you're watching, if you're listening later at the end of the day to wrap up your day, or it's after the crazy lunch hour that you've just had and now you're practicing having some mindfulness, spending some time on yourself while the kids are playing in the backyard, whatever the case is that you're here, you've chosen to show up here. And what I'd like to do is to honor that and be sure that you recognize that I want to address things with us together in a way that helps you to feel safe, because when we have psychological safety, then our minds are open to new ideas. Then our minds are having that connection with each other, whether we're not in real time, possibly, or in physical space with each other. But when we have that connection, that safety allows us to have a little bit more of like, okay, well, I wasn't really planning on going that way in my head about myself today, but here I am, so here I go. We create psychological safety by addressing and redirecting, by addressing what's in front of us and rewriting it. By me saying to you what I want and what I don't want, or the message I'm trying to share with you is this, what I'm not saying is this. All of that are ways of creating psychological safety. This is a tip and a tool and a strategy you can use in communicating with anyone about anything. We're talking about little kids, we're talking about teenagers and adults, we're talking about on a team, we're talking about between family members. Whatever that communication is happening, if there can be some point where you recognize that and you can say, okay, well, what do I actually want out of this conversation right now? What challenge is here in front of me? What, there's emotions are getting heated. So I need to back it up a little bit and I need to tell you, you know what I want is what I want you to feel safe. And I'm modeling for you right now by also telling you things that are real. What I want is I want for you to come here and to feel that you're not overwhelmed with tips, but I want you, what I do want, or what I don't want, excuse me, see, it takes practice. What I don't want is for you to come here and feel overwhelmed. What I don't want is for you to come here and say, whoa, she needs to get to the point, there's just too much, I can't even take it. What I do want is for you to find at least one thing that you can latch onto and that can start to create some internal change, which of course will have external results. You can apply that process a lot more smoothly after some practice with any conversation that you're having, and that's going to create that psychological safety. You have done so much work. You have done so much work to ensure the physical safety of your family. You have done so much work by buying the masks, by going out and buying all the hand sanitizer and more than you thought you would ever need, by staying at home during this pandemic. You have done so much to create physical safety for your family. Do you think you can do the same for the psychological safety? What did you feel in your head in that space? Did you feel, yeah, I've got it at today? Did you feel psychological safety? What? Because yes, the physical safety is, I mean, and this is not an either or thing. This is an and thing. Physical safety and psychological safety and resilience are the things that are going to get us through a challenge, a pandemic, a financial crisis, a health scare, a fill in the blank. Being mindful of the psychological safety that's in balance. It's hanging in the balances, right? We're not sure, and it's not always going to be equal. It's for every 20 minutes, every 5 minutes, it could be whoosh whoosh. It's something that is fluid. Okay? Physical safety is hopefully something that is less fluid. And resiliency, that's the question of, can you and your family, can the way that you handle the challenges that are thrown at you, can you pivot quickly? Can you change directions quickly? And guys, this can also go for any professional teams that you're on. I mean, this is actually a training I have done with groups of teachers and saying, the way that we set up our classrooms, classroom management, whatever level of teaching that you're at, are you doing things intentionally to you already set up the physical space, you got the desk in the position that you want them to be in, you have all of the whiteboard markers and all of the worksheets, Lord help us, no more worksheets. You have all the things physically for them, and so now they come into your room and they're ready to learn. Are they ready to learn? Because ready to learn looks like having that physical safety. And so this is something that can also go for psychological safety. And that's something that can also go in for your teams. If you're leading or working on a team, even if you're not the leader, you still have influence. You still can have a way that can impact the rest of your team by saying things like, well, hey guys, that's a pretty good idea on how we might be able to approach that. What I'm saying is that I think if we head into that direction, this could happen. What I'm not saying is that we're not capable of heading in that direction. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, you got the idea, right? Okay. And this comes into this concept of modeling and teaching, right? Which is what every parent is. You are your child's first teacher. I'm going to say it every single time. Let yourself off the hook for trying to be a teacher, because you already are. You already know how, you may not know the content, you may not be all up to date on the new math strategies. You're teaching long division in a way that Kids don't learn long division anymore. We get that. The content's not the part that you really have to worry about because that's going to come from somewhere else. The part that you are worrying about, that we are worrying about as a culture, is like, oh my gosh, all these untrained people teaching kids at home. I encourage you to flip that in your head and know that you are already trained, because guess what? You know your child best. You are still getting to know your child as an academic learner, but if you have the physical provided space, we've got your little workspace set up in the kitchen. If you have that, then you're already more than halfway there of wherever you think you need to be, of wherever the culture right now is putting the pressure on you to be, that is on all of the blogs and all of the things that are being fed into your brain. And so the next step is to include in that psychological safety and that resilience. And we've touched on that pretty much every parent power hour in some way or another. A lot of this also has to do with you deciding on whether it's worth it or not. And I'm not saying the psychological safety of your children. What I am saying is whatever challenge that you're being pressed by at the result of it, do you think you can make it through it? Do you think you have the skills to navigate whatever that challenge is? First of all, do you think you can? And then you are also deciding whether you even want to. Whether you even want to master that challenge or survive that challenge. Because you're determining every time that you are faced with anything. And I'm even talking about, it doesn't even have to be a negative challenge. It can be that change and that growth and this new habit that you're trying to take on. That can also be you deciding whether or not it's worth it. You deciding whether or not it's worth it to join the next 90 days challenge. You deciding whether or not it's worth it to drink half your body weight in water. You decide. And I need to drink more water because my tongue's starting to get tied up again. I only had probably this much of this morning so far. It's already empty. But I didn't drink the whole thing yet. I just drank what was left over from yesterday because I didn't meet my personal goals there either. I'm letting it go. So what's your personal motivation, right? Determining there exactly from that point. A lot of our bad behaviors, and that's another reason why the next 90-day challenge to me is so significant right now, is that a lot of us are in those bad behavior moments for ourselves because it feels good. Oh my word, I made brownies this weekend. I drank like more beer than I usually do, which is like not, don't worry you guys, I'm healthy, I'm good. But like, those things that are unhealthy that I know, like all the sugar and the sugar that comes from the alcohol and the pasta, and okay, Easter dinner is that a choice about a time when you can overindulge a little. If you have the, family recipes that you don't usually get to have, okay. But then that kind of starts to open that window a little bit of like, well, that felt pretty good when I had that. So I'm going to have another brownie and I'm going to have one for breakfast. And then I'm going to have one. Whoa, those bad behaviors, they feel pretty good, but just for a while, right? And we don't have to dwell on this very long because we know this as adults. Just throwing it out there, a little self accountability for myself, a self check. It felt pretty good to have like 2 brownies yesterday, but waking up this morning was so much harder because I had that sugar attack on my body, right? And so, what I am aware of as an adult, which we are all aware of, is that we have to change the feeling that's associated with that negative behavior, with that personal motivation. What's the feeling that's there with it? Well, I'm seeking out comfort by eating lots of pasta. Okay, what other ways can I find comfort that's not going to have a negative impact on my energy, on the way I show up for you all, whether or not I'm prepared enough, whether or not I've had enough centeredness on the concept that we're going to cover today. Okay, you guys get it? You see how it's a trickle effect? The next step in assuring our influence with our family and ensuring psychological safety and gearing up our interactions with the people that we have around us and our communication, whatever that level is helping others understand that emotionally that there are things that we take as risks. We can help each other do things, right? I can help you skill up in how to have these conversations, because I understand where you are. I don't know where you are, but I understand that in challenge, we are all in the same place when we are in crisis, chaos, and challenge. And what we can do typically is that we can invest in developing that specific ability that's emerging from that challenge. So to go back to the food thing, that ability to recognize those feelings that you're possibly having that you're associating with needing to have some comfort, so you're eating the food and drinking the drink and doing the thing, right? And so the more that we can understand that collectively, the more that we can get to the root of that together, we'll be able to come out at the end of this healthier. There is no end to this. That we'll be able to come out when the lift happens and walk out of our houses not 75 pounds heavier, but 75 pounds mentally more grounded in who we are, and accepting those real conditions and skilling up in the things in the self-awareness and in the strategies that we may or may not have already in our back pocket, and practicing them deliberately, being intentional about how we can practice those things. And of course, the next element of all of this is to be sure that we are helping each other, our service, to our families, to our communities, that we're modeling for our children how we work on our communication skills with each other, how we work on maintaining a psychological safety between us by modeling that, and by uh, being sure of that mindfulness of that. If I say it in this way and I tell my child, you know what, I'm practicing, that didn't really come out the way I thought it was going to come out, I'm going to try that again. Wow, how powerful that you can model that for your kiddos. I really like this part of what we're reviewing today, which is the speed with which we move towards new ways of doing things, new norms, this new, whatever it's a change. You're going to leave this time here together today having some new skills and new thoughts in your head. And the speed with which we move toward those new things is determined by the speed at which we can have tough conversations about them. If you are avoiding tough conversations with your family, if you're avoiding tough conversations on your team, the longer you avoid, the longer you delay, the longer it's going to take for this new norm to be here with your team, with your family, with this new way of doing things, okay? In order to do that, a lot of times, especially when we're talking about kids, you have to change the way that they're associating that feeling externally, okay? Especially younger ones. We're talking like, I would say 10 and younger. And for us as adults, it's still a reward system. And the way that we choose it is by negotiating what we determine that reward is: the brownies, the extra beer, the extra glass of wine, the second bowl of pasta, whatever it is, whatever's your thing. You guys are learning like all of my vices. Thank you very much. And thank you. Thank you for helping me be better at these things. But you have to change the economy, right? You got to change what that reward is associated with, the behavior that's happening. And I don't mean like, oh, here's a sticker. Said thank you when I handed you a glass of milk. Bing, here's your reward. Be careful with those things. We can go into that later if you're interested. Just know that it is important to have a shift about the economy that happens between us. I mean, like the exchange of rewards, the exchange of, well, I give you this and you give me this back. and that I give you this because you gave the thing back, because you gave the thing to me in the first place. It's confusing, but kind of rewind that a few times. See if you can get there in your head about unpacking what that means for you and your family. And so here we are with this psychological safety that's been most of the focus of our conversation today. And you already know that if it's not working for you, it's working against you. Life is happening for you right now, whatever you choose in it. That when this lift happens, that we can either come out of it having recovered, that this moment that we're in is already preparing for our recovery. And then going beyond that is being able to have the strength to build upon this foundation of recovery that you've already laid during this time, and then add to it when the lift does happen. Because when we're all here and when we're all in the middle of this crisis and chaos, and then the lift happens and we emerge, how incredible, what a gift. We talked about that, and I love having to go there with you all, because it really does increase my awareness about, wow, what a gift. What a gift of this time. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, there's crisis and chaos around us. Yes, it's pushing us to our limits. And now we know we can. And now we know we can go through hard things. And now we are learning we can choose joy in the middle of hard things. We can choose right now, at this moment, before the lift actually is going on in our families, in our communities, whenever we go back to the way of life that it's going to be after the lift, then we're going to know that we're capable of doing the hard things, that we're capable, and that we can say, yes, yes, we can. And yes, you can. You can do hard things. You have already done them in the past 4 weeks. You have already done things that you never thought that you would do, standing in line to wait to get into the grocery and wear a mask and sanitize everything before you go in and when you come out, and all of those things. That has a little chips away at our emotional, psychological safety, and you can reestablish it, and you can get back to, and you can reset, and you can make a new path for yourself and your family. I hope that you feel uplifted today. I hope you feel that there are ways that you can tackle on the challenges, and that you can take this tip of what I'm saying and what I'm not saying, those sentence starters, what I want and what I don't want, saying those things out loud in your conversations, especially the more challenging ones with people. I hope that you're able to take that with you and practice it. And let me know how it's going with it. Let me know whether or not it's something that is working for you. And if it's not, then okay, let's talk about that. I would love to hear if it is, what examples that you have that it is working for you. I'm so excited about the responses and the direct messages that I'm getting. I'm starting to get lots of people that are, sending pictures or sending screenshots of tips and things that have connected to what we're talking about here on Parent Power Hour. And that's so exciting for me, because that means that it's on your mind, that there's little seeds that are planted here along the way. And that's been my ultimate hope, is that I can give you some little things, some big things that can maybe have some little impacts or thoughts on your thoughts, and giving you some things that in those moments of crisis, in those moments of challenge, which we're all going to have, that you can take those with you and say, hey, I'm not perfect. That didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, but I can. I can do this. I can breathe. I can use some of the tips and tools and practical strategies that we've talked about here on Parent Power Hour. If you like what you're hearing, please be sure to share it along. That's the best way for New Minds Enrichment to be moving forward in providing more things, more content, more strategies, more things that you can then power up with. And that's the way the Facebook algorithm works. If you like it, if you share it, mostly and have little watch parties, even if it's not live, even if it's after the fact, that still collects some numbers in the data and whatever, blah, 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 all those things that nobody really ever wants to talk about, or that really we do. And do we understand those? Do we? And then is it going to be the same next week? We don't know. It changes a lot, right? They're always changing the way that they do things. For now, share it, repost it, like it, comment, and we hope that you found something real. And always remember, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And here on NewMinds.tv, we believe that you can. We believe that you do have passions in your own life that you are working towards, and that you can then cultivate and turn into your talent. And that happens right here because of real inspired learning. Hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye.